Au revoir.
All right, we're rolling. Welcome to another episode of FitPet Boston Talks. My name is Leah Lodato, and I am the host of the show. Today, I am joined by Melissa Molander.
Hi.
And Lori.
Hello.
And we're going to talk a little bit about, I'm not going to talk about it. Melissa's going to talk a little bit about her recent trip to, I'll let her tell you the details. But before we get started, I just wanted to thank you for tuning in. Please, people, if you're listening on Spotify, give us 5 stars or give us 4 stars. I really don't give a damn how many stars as long as it's not lower than 4. But rate the podcast on Spotify if you can. We're also on Apple and iHeartRadio, so you can listen any of those ways. You can also listen right through my website. But if you can, hit the subscribe and rate the podcast. It helps us out a little bit. Anywho, historically, this show has interviewed local Boston area pros, Melissa being one of them that we've sat with a bunch of times. So thank you so much for coming back, Melissa. We're obviously really good
Thank
friends.
you for having me.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny.
Honored. Honored.
even say it. But some people are new to the show. They let me know sometimes how funny we are, or how funny Lori is.
It's you too.
You guys are a real hoot.
Together.
Unstoppable.
Anyhow, thank you so much for listening. That's pretty much all I have to say as a preamble to get the show started. Melissa, you got to tell us, where have you been the past couple of weeks and what the heck have you been doing?
I went to Paris, France.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Oui, oui.
I accompanied a client and their dog. So it was her first time flying. She is a service dog.
What's her breed?
She's a golden retriever. Her name is Daisy. She's just about 2.
Okay.
So she has come, we've been working together for a year. She's come a long way. But they are...
A golden retriever named Daisy.
Who would have thought?
So rare.
I know. One in a million, if you ask me.
I've never met a golden retriever named Daisy.
Oh. So she is like, I want her. I would keep Daisy in a heartbeat. If I get a golden retriever, which don't cringe, Laurie, I know.
No, I like goldens.
Yeah, I know, but I never pictured myself like as a golden owner.
Neither did I.
Own one.
Well, your personality matches a golden.
Yeah, a little happy, goofy.
Yeah.
What can I say? But she blew my mind. So they have flown with prior dogs that they've owned. But Daisy was, to them, a particularly challenging dog. So they asked me to accompany them in the airport and for the flight. They own a home.
Paris.
They own a home in Paris.
I mean.
My client's mother left them their house that they own there. So they go there once a year for a few months of the early half of the year. And wow, Daisy was fantastic. It was basically like a 24-hour long training lesson where I just coached them through situations that they weren't necessarily confident in. Daisy was ready for it. We've been practicing. We've gone to the airport and practiced in the airport. I mean, it was like...
How long you been training Daisy?
November of what is it now? It's January.
2024.
It's been a little bit over a year because she's going to be 2 in 2 months, and I met her at 7 months. It's wow. It's February. Correction. So I've been working with her for about a year.
Okay.
And she did really well. Once we landed and we were there and they went to their home, I went to my Airbnb, then I was just on vacation for a week.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was honestly, aside from the experience of traveling to Paris, being able to, do something like that in my job, get to work and accompany someone with a very real life experience. And honestly, the trust they had in me to help them to do that they were willing and very hopeful that I would accompany them was so cool for me. Like alone, that was the coolest thing ever. But the experience of going and just seeing what this dog, you know, I knew she was more than capable, but seeing how well she did and her just pure content the entire time. She was not stressed. She was not put out. It is not something that any dog could do either. It's a lot. And even though, you know, you have the dog marked as a service dog, do not pet, you still have to tell everybody and their wandering toddler that they cannot talk to the dog. They can't bend down and start, oh my God, with their cartoon animated voices screaming, oh my God, it's a golden retriever. Wow. You know, Daisy handled it great. She could have cared less. I mean, she trained with me. I'm obnoxious enough, you know, she learned how to get over that pretty quickly. But
You mean the loudness?
the loudness. Okay. Yeah, the loud, you know,
The volume.
the
Decibels.
volume, the decibels. But, you know, it was so interesting. Like, you just would assume, you can't assume anything of anyone anymore. But even to some of the people that I said, like, and I was very polite. I wasn't rude by any means. I was very much so, I'm really sorry you actually can't talk to her. I'm sorry you cannot touch her. Hey, I'm sorry, please do not try and hug this dog. You know, there was a toddler and it came out of left field and just went to wrap his arms around Daisy at one point. And the owner of the child, the dad looked at me with this like, haha, wasn't that so cute?
Yeah, you gotta put him on a flexi lead. With
So I looked at the dad and I was like, sir, you know, aside from the fact that this is a dog that, you know, is marked with do not touch, do not pet, you should not let your son do that.
To any dog.
To any dog. God forbid, you know, like if I had Margarita, she would have snapped in his face. If a little kid came out of nowhere with no warning and just went to wrap his arms around her neck face first. So it was really, you know, interesting to see because, you know, I'm not usually you can touch my dog anyway. Like I usually no eye contact, nothing. I avoid people. I'm like, I'm better by myself. Thank you. But it was very interesting to just see the way in a different setting with a dog who was very much so like you cannot bother her right now.
So we have a 2-year-old golden retriever named Daisy. You've been training her for a year. Parents had the goal that she would name the behaviors.
Yes. So her parents have, you know, some medical conditions that require some assistance. So some of the things that we've worked with Daisy on, aside from just being a very well member of society, tasking. So she picks up things. She can open things like cabinets, the refrigerator door. She can open handle doors, anything that we can tie something to that allows her to grip and pull or push. If her mother drops something, she can pick it up for her. And she has come a long way with that. Being a golden retriever, she had a habit of picking things up, and that grip was like no other.
She wouldn't out it.
She would not out it, not spit it out, not drop it. And now she just, you know, it's so cool to watch her. She has this sense of almost ease constantly now because she's working. Even when she's resting, she's waiting for next steps or what she can do. And she's so much more fulfilled.
Did she know the basics too, like sit down,
Yep.
walking on a
So
leash?
she walks either on a flat collar or on a harness.
Did she do that before you?
No.
Okay, good.
No. So when Daisy first started with me, you know, her parents' goal long term was we would really love her to be a working service dog for us.
Help the mother.
To help the mother. But their goal when they first met me was we really want to not give this dog back to the breeder. She was, you know, a very ambitious golden retriever puppy. She was
7 months, right?
7
When you
months.
first met her.
She was also incredibly different from their previous 3 golden retrievers they had owned. Just a lot more drive, a lot more eagerness and want to do things and keep her brain busy. I mean, that dog could go all day with very little physical activity, but if she works her brain, she's toast. You know, she just needed...
Hear that? She worked her brain and she got tired.
Who would have thought?
For everyone who thinks that the only way to exercise a dog is...
Go to the
So that's actually...
Throw the chuck it a billion times.
That's actually where they were going wrong, is they were trying so hard to exhaust her with solely physical activity. You know, literally going, chuck it, bringing her to, you know, fields with other dogs to run and play, because they could not, for the life of them, get this dog to settle or not constantly be biting them. When I met them, they were covered.
It's an older couple, you said, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
They're
you don't have to say the age.
No. They're an older couple. They're fantastic, and you know, they very much so, like, they're so capable, but there's also a limitation to what they're capable of, you know, physically. So they were kind of at the point where, like, you know, mom especially was like, I've had it. I do not, this puppy, we made a mistake. This was the worst thing ever.
And I every dog parent.
Yeah, and I said, you know, everyone goes through this, but she was adamant. Like, she did not think, and I think when she first met me, she was like, yeah, whatever. You're just going to be another one who says you can fix the dog, and it's not going to work. She was just very discouraged. Very discouraged. But, you know, here we are now. We've made a lot of progress. So when I started with them, you know, I was like, how about we just start with, you know, making a really well-behaved, good dog before we start to think about anything else. Like, your dog just needs, we need to figure it out. And
find out what makes her happy, right?
Yep. And what works for them. You know, I had to figure out a lot of different ways to do things for them because there was limitations for them. You know, where you can just tell someone, you know, to practice long line recalls. Like, they couldn't.
Yeah.
That was not an option for them to let her even hit the end of a leash.
Yeah. It's actually, sidebar,
it's dangerous.
Long line work is really dangerous.
Long line work is not for anybody. I mean, you got to learn how to hold it, how to reel it in, how to not ask one of...
Do you know what I was thinking about?
My ankle?
Yeah, when I first met you... That was healed
Abbott.
up, but I remember looking at your foot and I'm like, what the heck happened to your ankle? And a line had gotten wrapped around it months ago.
It was like indented.
Yeah.
It was so bad. Abbott ran by me, the nylon leash wrapped around my ankle. And I went down and I was like, no, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Melissa had just started working with me and she got the line. And I was like, no way. And I mean, that thing was red enough for me to say, you need to go to urgent care right now. Let me take care of everything.
Yeah, they put me on antibiotics.
But here's the thing. Melissa said, I'm fine. I'm like, that's a flesh-eating disease at this point. And
then
she didn't listen to me.
I start limping around.
It gets worse by the day. And it was to the point where she needed antibiotics. Like, it didn't matter how Melissa had treated it after it happened. I mean, it had to be the second day. And this dog just whipped it right around her ankle. And we all know how much that hurt. We all have scars. I think every dog trainer
still have a scar.
I met Melissa a year after that happened and I noticed it on her foot. And I was like, what's on your foot? And she's like, oh yeah. And told me the story.
It's a dog tattoo.
I was like, hey, hey, by the way, be really careful of long leashes.
Anyway, sorry about that. So you had some limitations.
Yep.
Really energetic golden retriever, not able to do things like go to the field and do long line work. Owners are a little bit older. I would argue that even a younger owner would have trouble with that. You know, some of these dogs are very energetic and they don't have a regard for your body.
No.
And that's one thing that I hesitate to use the word punish, but if I'm in the woods with dogs and one of them is going to run into me, I will stop them and I'll let them know that is absolutely uncool because you can find yourself with like a huge concussion. If you get knocked out by a dog. So it's not...
Well, especially when you're alone in the woods with a group of dogs.
Or even if you're an owner in the field, if your dog will run into you and they think that that's okay, like you have to stop them from doing that because you can really get hurt. It's not a joke. It's not like, oh, they did it by accident. No. It's like, no, I don't care if it was an accident. Like you could get really hurt.
Your dog should have some level of awareness
where
also and not think it's acceptable to body check humans.
The reason I mention it is because golden retrievers seem to be a perpetrator.
Oh, yes. So I have a lot of golden retriever clients.
Funny, we do too.
A lot of them.
We do too, yeah.
I mean, we only have a few, but they're taking up a lot of steam.
Yeah, that's so. I'm lucky. The ones that I'm working with currently are on the lighter side of crazy, golden crazy. But she was a piece of work as a puppy. I mean, the day I met her, they walked in, the leash flies out of their hand. She ran up, she grabbed a hold of I had on like a sweatshirt that was unzipped, and she grabbed it and wouldn't let it go and was trying to pull me to the ground. And they were like, this is a very common occurrence. She has pulled us down to the ground many times.
She's doing jujitsu.
She's doing jujitsu.
What did we say earlier? Jiu-jitsu is what?
Straddling and rolling.
Straddling and rolling.
And that's basically what she was doing. But even while we were there, I spent a lot of time with them, not because I had to. I just adore them. Like, I love them. They're wholesome people.
Well, yeah, they're bringing you to Paris. I love them too. Okay.
But, it was really cool. No, I know. But it was really cool to be able to
walk us through the did you meet them at their home and then you guys drove to the airport together? Did you meet them at the airport?
Yep.
Like, how much did you go separate with the dog? Like,
nope. So we all went.
Like?
We all went as a unit.
Yeah.
I met them at the airport, but outside of the airport, because the first thing that I did was took her and brought her to go to the bathroom.
Potty, yeah.
Because I wanted to right off the bat find a spot that she would go.
Empty the tank.
Well, then I would know. So before we actually boarded the plane, I could take her back to that same spot and know that there is at least a chance that she will go there. They do have at Logan Airport like an outdoor relief center,
like
potty area.
Once you go through security, you can go to it.
Yeah, it's like a. You don't actually even have to go through security to get to it. It's in like the main area.
Yeah, but once you go through security, you're in the airport.
Yes.
So you can't just walk out and then walk back in. So do they have an area inside the security?
They do. They have indoor areas,
Okay.
but Daisy wanted no part of it.
Yeah,
like
sure.
she went in there, sniffed around, and was like, no.
You spend all that time.
I think
peeing
honestly,
outside.
yeah, well, that's the thing too, is these dogs spend so much time learning to go to the bathroom outside. It's different. You have a male dog who smells a ton of urine, they just mark on it. Mm-hmm. And then you have Daisy who's like, ooh,
yeah,
this grass isn't green enough for me.
Yeah.
I can't go here. But we found her spot, and then, we went in, and then we hung out before we even went through security or anything. We hung out just up front for a little bit because we were early. And I had Daisy's parents walk her around. I was like, well, now we're going to practice before we get in there, before, while we have this chance and time together, we're going to practice. And I had Mom do some crowd control work. There was people who had all their dogs in their carriers that were not in the carriers at the time. Like, these people were paying no mind. At one point, there was this little Shih Tzu that like went to run at Daisy, and I just so swiftly I didn't kick the dog, but I threw up a foot, stopped it dead in its tracks. The owner didn't even notice. I had half a second thought I was going to get yelled at or accused of kicking the dog because of the way the dog skidded into a stop into my foot.
Sure.
But I look over, the owner's just face deep in her phone, no idea where the dog is, on a flexi lead in the airport. I was like, okay.
The devil's leash.
Yeah.
Just
Leah on the plane with Daisy. I mean, I was saying to Lori earlier, she did not leave the spot that she got put in when we first got on the plane. The entire flight.
For 6 hours?
It was 7 hours the way there.
Wow, that's great.
Yep, she either slept or she would lift her little head up and rest it on someone's knee.
There's not a lot of room there either.
So we picked a spot. So technically service dogs are allowed anywhere, but we flew on Delta. They recommend, if your dog is approved as a service dog, to fly through them. When you pick your seats, they recommend picking one that will fit your dog the best.
Like a door seat?
So we were when you enter the plane, there's first class, which are the beds, turns into beds.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the next set of seating, which is like kind of like the extra space.
Yeah, business class.
Business class. We were in the very first row, which allowed, honestly, like Buddha would fit comfortably there.
Oh.
It was pretty spacious. The only thing, you know, I didn't get to put up my reclined seat, put my feet up. God forbid.
because she was sitting.
Because she was
Life
sitting in
photography.
front of us. Yeah. But I sat with her owner, one of her owners. The other owner was in the next row next to me. I stayed awake the whole time because
You're nervous
Yeah.
too.
you
You have to
taking
watch
care of
the
the dog.
dog.
I'm there. Yeah, I'm there to take care of the dog, but also, you know,
You're snoozing on the job.
well, yeah, that's what
Melissa's
I was
passed
like,
out.
God forbid, you know, all of a sudden they're like, excuse me, who owns the golden retriever? And there's
Yeah,
the
they're
dog
like-
trainer passed out in the seat
Yeah,
while the
Daisy's-
dog's face deep in someone's dinner.
Yeah.
No, Daisy, and that was actually, so like when they came around to serve, you know, because it was a long international flight.
Snacks.
Meals. They come with meals. And Daisy did not even like lift her head.
Neither would I, Daisy. Neither would I.
Like did not even lift her head. But anything that came, the people, like the, you know, flight attendants were like, oh, what a good girl. Wow. I mean, the people, they find any way around the don't talk to the dog that they can. But she was just a really good girl.
Solid.
You
Who's going
know?
to be with her on the way back?
So they are feeling, I made sure, I was like, you guys are good. You feel good. You can do this on your own on the way back. And they were like, yes, now we feel great.
Okay.
They
That's
were
great.
so
Good.
nervous. But they also, you know, were very, very impressed with their dog and her capabilities.
What a
Like
lovely
it was
story.
like a really, like they were just like, they looked at their dog like,
They love
with
them.
hearts in their eyes, like, wow, this is the dog that we needed. You know, she is capable of what we, you know, had hoped for her.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then, you know, Paris. Dogs are different there, man.
How so?
Also,
Oh my, firstly, I don't think a single person there believes in a damn leash. You're on the sidewalks, like walking around like Seaport. Like that's how busy. And the way they drive there, I could not get in a car if you paid me to. The anxiety I had, oh my God, there's no lanes. It's like 45 lanes and then they all merge into one and it's the fight of the fittest. I mean, you better cut through without getting hit.
okay, what's
Yeah, and there's not many accidents, are there?
No.
Yeah, it's like true libertarianism
It's
right
'cause
there.
they
Just
pay
every man
attention.
for himself. I don't know if that's the right word or not.
what?
We say the same thing about my parents' parking lot at the farm stand.
It's wild.
There's no lanes. There's no like parking lines. Everybody's fine.
Yeah, they
It's-
figure it out.
Exactly. Anyway, continue.
But-
What's the most common breed that you saw, or not
No,
really?
this is okay. So let me tell you what the most common breed is and how embarrassing it is that I didn't put two and two together. So I'm walking up the
Wait,
street.
can we guess?
Yeah. I'll let you guess. I'll tell you the story and then you'll see if you're right.
I'm not guessing.
Just guess.
Okay, so it's definitely a dog that Melissa
I
thought
was-
was one dog and was
Nope,
actually another
nope.
dog. Okay.
I was in Paris, France.
A French bulldog? What?
Yes.
Yes? I'm right?
Yes.
Woohoo!
So I'm walking around, right? And I look at I'm on a walk. I went on a walk one day with
How
my client.
anticlimactic.
I look at her and I go, you know something? I've seen a lot of French bulldogs here. And she looked at me and goes, Melissa, what did you just say? I was like, what? And she's like, French. And I was like, oh, we're in France. I see.
Wow. Still,
A
though.
lot of spaniels, Cocker Spaniel, Springer Spaniel.
Yeah.
Okay, that I feel.
That I would
I feel
expect.
better about
Yeah.
that.
Yep. That's honestly like I saw a lot of mixes, like a little almost terrier like rat terrier, a lot of staffies.
Oh, really?
Oh my goodness gracious. Are they the cutest things in the world or what? Are you kidding me?
A real live
A
one, yes.
real purebred staffy. They're like a little piggy.
Mm-hmm.
They're teeny tiny little bodies. They're tiny.
Mm-hmm.
Tiny.
I guess when I see dogs in movies, and
But
it's set in Paris.
yeah.
I don't see a lot of French
think
bulldogs
poodle?
in those
Yeah,
movies.
I think poodles or Wheaten Terriers.
I didn't
or-
see a
Looking
single
over-
poodle.
What?
like,
I didn't see a single Wheaton.
Oh,
A ton of beagles, actually. A lot of beagles.
I thought poodles.
wait. So
and
go back to the
terriers-
leash thing. So people just have their dogs freewheeling.
So
they walk
imagine-
out the house. Just dog
Oh my
goes.
gosh. No, so do you know how many times, like, just my internal, like, right off the bat, I was like, oh my God, it's a loose dog. And then it's like, no, that dog is just 500 feet ahead of its owner who's walking on the sidewalk 4 intersections back.
Wow. They don't get hit by a car?
No, this is the other thing, right? It's like the dogs would walk with the owners. The owner stops at a crosswalk. The dog just stops. Nothing given. The owners are on the phone, busy. Just stops. The dog stops.
Smoking a cigarette.
Everybody's smoking a cigarette there. As soon as the owner starts to cross the road, dog crosses the road. But I mean, the awareness the dogs had of the owners in the sense of just like general awareness. Oh, my owner stopped. I should stop. Oh, my owner's walking again. I should walk. With no verbal, physical, nothing. No commands, no gestures, no guidance. This owner is face deep and they're scrolling.
Dogs are
about to get
different.
hit by a bike.
Dogs are different in America.
They don't even look at you.
I think they've picked up on our anxiety.
Aside from one of the like dog parks I went to, dogs don't look at you. They don't care about you. They don't care that you're there. They don't want your attention. They are walking. They are busy. They are with their owner.
Yeah, but also if there's a loose dog, do people just start petting it?
No,
Yeah.
that's the other
That's
thing.
the other thing.
No, although it was interesting. I think that people were staring whenever I was with Daisy, staring at us because
You probably had like her regalia on and she was on a leash, right?
she was on a leash. I really think it's just because she was on a leash.
They're like, what is wrong with this girl?
Yes.
She says she can train a dog.
I mean, people also stared at me like I was like something out of like a fictional story. I did
They
not
knew
see
you were an American.
Oh yeah.
Like a sore thumb.
I stuck out like a I did not see another person with colored hair.
And your hair's not that colored
And it's not that colored right now. Not a single person. I was like, really? I thought there'd be more fun than this.
I'm an artiste. This is
I'm
my blue
artistic.
and purple paint.
But it was really, and dogs are allowed everywhere there except for where you would want to take them. They can be on patios and inside of restaurants, inside of grocery stores, anywhere except for parks. If you're caught with your dog in a park, even on a leash, you will get fined. They take their parks seriously. They don't even want humans on the grass.
Oh wow, so they're for the view.
They have like little mini garden picket fences around the grass in the parks.
Keeping
Sounds
that maintenance.
I could live there.
Yeah. There was one, so there's one area like on the far side of Paris where I forget the name of it. But it's where dogs are allowed. It's where Napoleon would shoot his cannons.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That's
How I've longed
all
to
I
go
remember
there.
about it. But so that park was pretty cool because there was lots of dog walkers, actually. And what these dog walkers do is they go to this place where dogs are allowed off leash, and they take about 10 dogs, clip them off of their leashes, and say, woohoo!
Go run away.
And the dog walker doesn't move. I don't think I saw a single dog walker move from the spot they were standing in. The dogs just caloop wherever they want. And then all of a sudden see the dog walker leaving and follow their dog walker and they leave. But it was, the anxiety that I had. I'm like, I don't know if we should take Daisy here, guys. This is a little worrisome. And they're like, no, I'm telling you, it's fine. I'm like, oh, I don't know. They're like, just no. So they take her, they let her off the leash. Not a single one of the 40 off-leash dogs in this massive field could have cared less about Daisy.
Meanwhile, Melissa's stroking out inside of her head.
I was. Because actually, so when I was there, like there was, I did see a fair amount of Samoyeds.
Really?
Yep. Majority of them were muzzled.
Oh.
Maybe they have to be.
So that's the thing. They
So
said
you mean
that
they muzzle dogs that bite there?
they muzzle dogs that don't bite there. Technically, if you have the dog on the metro there on their trains, the dog's supposed to be muzzled,
Oh.
regardless of the temperament or history of the dog.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's actually a great rule.
Yeah.
Because on the train, you're sitting literally like shin to shin with somebody.
I was
like,
on that
it's
train
so
one
close.
night. I was basically compacted by people standing.
Yeah.
It was, and you have these people with their dog. Lots of Jack Russell Terriers. They were like little bodybuilders too. I've never seen more ripped Jack Russells.
And they're all
in my life.
intact. All the
All of
dogs
them.
are intact.
All of them.
Yep. America neuters.
Yeah.
Neuters and spays.
I don't think I saw a single dog. Even their rescue dogs.
Other countries don't.
Interesting. So when you got to Paris, did you hang out with the folks for a little bit during the day, helping out with the dog, or did you kind of do your own thing?
So the day that we landed, we got there.
You pooped.
Oh, I was beyond that. I was delusional. I had been awake for like 31 hours because I was up early Sunday morning. They are 6 hours ahead of us. And at that point, it's like 3 p.m. And they're like, oh, do you want to blah, blah, blah. And I looked at them and I was like, I need to lay down. I'm sorry. I would love to get dinner with you, but I need to lay down. I had an existential crisis that night. I mean, I cried like you told me that my world was ending. I tried to change my flight home. I was a mess because I was tired. I was recovering from being a little sick. I mean, holy mother of God.
You were stressed out.
It's a lot of stress.
I was stressed.
Yeah, you wanted to make sure the dog did
Yeah.
its job. What if it didn't? You had an airline.
Yes.
You're on a
So it all
plane.
exactly. It all sounds fun and games, right? Like everyone was like, "Oh my God, your client's taking you to Paris," and I'm like, "No, I am doing a job to make sure that this dog is well behaved and can successfully get from point A to point B without being kicked off the plane, without making, essentially making me look bad and all of the work we've done together." And it was stressful.
That's a dog trainer's nightmare.
It was frightening because for all I knew, she could have showed up that day and been like, today's not the day. I'm not feeling it today. Because she also had like a history of being nervous with certain things randomly. It had been months since she had been weird with anything, like a plastic bag.
Yeah, she's older too. I think that's a good point. I mean, there's such a difference between like a 8-month-old dog and a 2-year-old dog.
Yes.
Like I'm dealing with it with Raven right now. It's like she's changing still like every damn month. It's like you can't. Oh, it's such a good point, especially if you acquire a service dog, like they're going to go through a puppy stage, they're going to go through an adolescent stage, and then they're going to settle into who they are. And that might not be on your timetable.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing is, thankfully they were very understanding because, they've had Goldens in the past and, just in general, they've owned dogs. But, one of the things I would talk about a lot when she was younger was like, guys, this is, I know you have big expectations for her and it's not looking right now like she's going to be able to do it. But you need to give this dog another year of life.
Yeah, totally.
And experience and exposure and continue to work her and train her and teach her. I think people get discouraged way too easy.
Well, it takes time. That's the thing.
Yes, and it takes time. But also, if you raised humans, the time it takes from a baby to get to the point where you don't have to micromanage them is a lot longer.
Right.
Even to bathroom train them.
Yes.
It takes longer.
But at 5 months old, 4 months old, a puppy's supposed to know everything. And
They're supposed to know how to walk on a
leash.
leash and not go to the bathroom in the house and be able to be unsupervised for 8 hours a day while the owner caloops and does what they want.
Well, they do go to work.
The instant gratification.
It's not there.
It's not there.
So let me ask you, did this dog come from a specific breeding program for service dogs, or did they just get another Golden because they always had Goldens? And
So they got her from a breeder that breeds therapy dogs.
okay.
And the breeder, said, if this is your goal, I can't guarantee you. I have not, nor have any of my dogs been trained specifically, officially for service dog work. But a lot of her dogs were therapy dogs.
Gotcha.
Which Daisy is phenomenal at. You do not have to train that dog how to give calm, sweet affection.
Mm-hmm.
She is excellent at that now. But, their prior golden died suddenly of cancer.
Terrible.
Sorry. Just in Paris, actually.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go,
she decided Paris was the place to go, but they wanted to get from a breeder where they could see a lot more of the, history of the dogs. And this breeder was very, upfront with everything and very honest, and only I think had 2 litters a year. So
nice.
they were on a wait list for over a year before they actually even got Daisy. The breeder seems great. If I were to get a golden,
Yeah, that's cool.
probably get it from her.
That's great because, yeah, sometimes I think one of the things that I've seen with Goldens is the maturity thing. Like, you just have to take your time.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that we've been working with are males, and maybe it's taking them more time. But people aren't patient.
Well, her owners are also incredibly dedicated, and you tell them, hey, here's what you need to work on.
They do it.
They do it.
Mm.
And they follow it to a T. And they're really good. They wanted to learn. So they learned more about their own dog, like signs of when she's becoming overtired, or, the training session has gone on for a little bit longer than it should, where it's then at that point setting her up to fail. She's overtired. She's going to start to perform, less than how she would, or make mistakes. They know their dog like the back of their hand because they wanted to learn. So she has kids from a previous marriage.
So they're older.
They're older. Yes, they're in their late 70s.
No, the people are in their 70s, and
Yep, the kids are older,
and they do not live in the house.
Nope. Well, one of the daughters lives like a few, like in the same building as them.
Okay.
But not with them.
Because you said they, and I thought, the first thing I thought was, a couple that works together, because
it is.
I rarely have couples that work together. I rarely see the same amount of effort from both parents. It's usually the mother who has a job. So then I wondered, do they have a family? Because kids, because I was like, wow, if the whole family was in this, that's amazing. But it really is amazing and nice to hear that the husband was helping the wife.
So he definitely, she definitely put in more of the formal work.
Yeah.
However, he always followed the rules.
Right.
And he always respected anything I told them, or anything that, the wife wanted to do or made a rule about. He never was like, oh, that's silly. Oh, it doesn't matter. It's just me.
Oh, that's mean.
Or, oh, that's so mean.
Yeah.
He understood that why we were doing what we were doing was working, and how it would work, and how it would all, kind of come to. He never once questioned anything. He would put in effort, but certainly not as much of the hands-on.
Yeah.
But he was, if short of anything, the most supportive of all of it. He would cheer his wife on like there was no tomorrow. He bought, when we taught Daisy how to open and close the cabinets, he went out and bought his wife flowers for successfully teaching her how to do it.
That's great.
We're going to marry him.
Oh my God. They are the greatest. They are the greatest people in the world. They, aside from anything, aside from Paris, like even if that never happened, I would still love them just as much and still do anything in the world for them.
Leah and I have an older couple, and I met them. I'm glad I met them. I met them because they just happened to have a lab from somebody else I was training from the same breeder, and they live in the same neighborhood. And they're like, hey, how'd you get your dog to walk like that? And then I got them. And they're an older couple, and they come to group classes. And Leah started to know them from privates and in group. And they really, you look at this couple, Leah said it last Saturday. She said, you can really tell they love each other. And
Yes.
you can really tell that these two people love each other. There's never any pointing the finger at one another. When they smile at each other.
Yeah, like
Yes.
when the guy goes to get the leash from, because you have two handlers, so one of them sits on the side. While
Occasionally
the
they
others,
swap out.
Yeah, and they swap out, and like just the way that she gave him the leash, and he said, "Oh, thank you." It was like they were on a first date or something, and he held the door open, and they're like not young.
Or she runs out of
Yes.
treats. They have
He's
this
like
sign-
running over
Yeah.
to get.
That
give
is
them to
exactly.
her.
So I asked them, I was like, you guys really love each other. And they kind of were like, hee, yeah. And I was like, no, but really, like, what is your secret? Because wow, because they've been together for 30 years.
All right.
And I've spent a lot of time with them. People don't fight in front of you on purpose, but we've all had clients get in fights
you
in
bet
front
your
of us.
ass
Oh
we
my
have.
God, it's so
I mean,
awkward.
most of the time.
I have not once, neither of them, even behind each other's backs. When people walk away, they're like, oh, that rat bastard, or whatever it is. No, they are so supportive and honest with each other. She looked at him and she was like, honey, I really want to rip your face off right now, but let's figure out how I won't do that, okay? But, she said it in such a way, like even the way that I just said it was more attitude-y than she said it. And he would look at her with so much love and be like, thank you for being so patient with me. And I was like,
I would like to keep
What?
my face.
what in God's name is this?
It's great.
Oh
It's
my
like,
God.
I think we used
It's
the word
so
before.
sweet.
It's respectful.
Very They're very respectful, and they're respectful of their dog. They understand her needs, and they also understand, how to be a good dog owner and how to be a good handler of their dog and set their dog up for success because they listened.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They listened and they didn't question everything I said. They didn't read things on the internet.
Oh yeah.
On the interwebs.
The a-goo-goo didn't tell them what to do.
All the love in this podcast. I feel like it's apropos for Valentine's Day is
I do
coming
too.
up.
What's today? The
I'm
7th?
just between this Paris
No.
and these couples.
Paris.
Wait, I think is Valentine's Day next Friday.
next
then?
week?
It's Wednesday.
I don't know. It's next Wednesday. So this is going to be the last episode that we do before Valentine's Day is what I'm asking.
When is Valentine's? Yes.
Not that it really
Yes, it
matters.
is.
Yeah, so next Wednesday because we're doing this early.
What are you getting me for Valentine's
Yeah,
Day?
Wednesday. See how I knew, honey? You didn't know. I guess I won't be getting any flowers. I'll tell you that.
Well,
Whoopsie.
Why do I have to order flowers?
Well,
a week
well,
in
I don't,
advance?
I don't want flowers.
I know.
It's all right.
A bouquet of M&Ms.
A bouquet. Yes.
A bouquet.
Plain M&Ms.
Well, I think that's a good spot to wrap up this little episode.
Rappy Pappy.
Rappy Pappy, Melissa. Thank you so much for sharing your
Thank you
experience.
for having me.
That was fun.
It was fun.
I'm sure it's awesome to have that whole soup to nuts trained a service dog under your belt, as a trainer. So that's like
yeah.
a huge accomplishment. So congratulations. And you got to
Thank
see
you.
part of the world. That's amazing.
It was, I highly recommend if you haven't or you don't plan on it, travel by yourself. It's frightening. It is frightening. And you might cry for a whole night and try and change your flight home. But when you fail at that,
You'll be a stronger person.
You will be a stronger.
by
but
staying in Paris and dining by
I learned
yourself.
so much about myself. And also how quick I love to be in and out of restaurants. I hate the waiting around. When you're alone, you can eat. Boom. You can
Leave.
be right out the door and leave. Amazing.
Leah, I'm going to Paris.
All right, bye.
Bye, honey.
Okay.
I'll go with you. You just won't know I'm there. Just go back again.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Melissa goes to Paris.